if we take it back to a larger context, it's not just about men and women, it's about organizations and it's about how they fit into society. We know that we're dealing with a very complex world right now. We've got lots of difficult issues to face, and this is true for for-profit organizations, for not-for-profit companies or organizations, and for government organizations. We also know that it's true that in order to be successful in a complex and changing environment, organizations need to be about as complex as the environment they're trying to meet. In order to get resources back from the environment, we need to put things out that meet the needs of that environment. Well, on a very basic level, we know that 51% of the world's population is female. So at a very minimal level, the complexity of organizations need to be accounting for both the male and the female components of the marketplace in which it's dealing, right? So at a very basic level, organizations benefit from male and female leadership just because they're matching the dynamics and the makeup of the environment in that way. At a deeper level, though, I think that we're really talking about a situation where part of that complexity isn't just the demographic makeup of the population, but it's the way we think and how we approach problems. If this was a static environment where everything is just kind of staying the same throughout time, we'd find the one best way to do things, and then we'd manage that over and over and over again. Well, leadership isn't about managing within a stable environment where we make sure the right people are doing the right things time after time after time, which is the assumption of the Industrial Revolution, right? We've got these large organizations that are set up like machines. It's like this big black box, and it's got cogs, and it's got conveyor belts, and it's got steam engines, and all these wonderful things so we can do the same right thing time after time after time. And we employ managers, not leaders, but we employ managers to make sure that the right people are doing the right things at the right place, in the right time, in the right sequence, and so on, so we have predictable outcomes. And through that, we get efficiencies, quality of life goes up, and everything's good. And we look at the advances in the Industrial Revolution in terms of science, in terms of the general wealth of the population, in terms of sanitation. I mean, for crying out loud, you look at London prior to the Industrial Revolution, you've got raw sewage running through the streets. But the wealth that was generated, we were able to put that underground to treat it, so we're not just dumping raw sewage out into the Atlantic Ocean or the English Channel or whatever. There's definite improvements with that. But those improvements have only taken us so far. And we're seeing new problems and new issues that need to be dealt with, and those are part of the change in the environment around us. So we need to go beyond just managing these traditional, large, bureaucratic, mechanistic organizations, whether, again, it's for-profit or it's a government organization. And we need to do that in such a way that we're going to meet the long-term needs of society in a sustainable way. Going back to the question of male and female involvement, well, leadership is about coping with change, and it's about managing change within a complex and dynamic environment, obviously. We need to make sure that we've got enough of the diversity covered that we're actually meeting all the actual problems to do this. Now, we're starting to see more of that as organizations embrace something we're calling the triple bottom line. Nice term from economists and accountants, but the triple bottom line basically says that unlike the traditional approach where we're managing profit and loss, we're looking at costs and revenues and ultimately profit, triple bottom line says that in order for organizations and communities to be sustainable, we need to look beyond that. We need to look at the needs of the shareholders of the firm. We need to look at the needs of the employees. We need to look at the needs of the customers that are buying things. We need to look at the needs of the suppliers that are giving us the inputs so that we can produce our outputs and so on. So we're looking at organizations as being part of a value chain, right? From sourcing raw materials to providing completed products in a way that we can continue to have this generation of economic activity throughout time. Heck, even the CEO of FedEx, Federal Express, recently came out and said something to the effect that in order for businesses to succeed, we need to be focused both on economics and on the human needs of the organization. Well, traditionally, the human needs of the organization is something that we associate it with women, but two, we've enculturated women throughout time to be focused on the human needs of the community. And we've encouraged men to focus more on the task-related needs, the business, economic needs of the economy and the firm. And so if we recognize that the triple bottom line is important because it's important for the long-term strategic success of the organization, then we know that leadership decisions, providing guidance and direction for the firm so that it can be sustainable and it can be successful off in the future, we know that that needs to incorporate both those human and those task economic-based decisions and issues. So if we have been doing what we think we've been doing, which is specializing people so that they're more effective and more efficient within the economy, and then we have to integrate those specializations back together again, then it's not a huge leap to see that your average male executive who's making leadership decisions for the firm is only thinking about part of the issues that are required to successfully deal with the complexity and the dynamics of the environment that are necessary to accommodate to be successful. So really, you have to have both sides, that male and that female side to the leadership equation in order to create and sustain sustainable organizations. The danger here is that we say, well, taking care of the human needs is strictly a female thing, and taking care of the business things is strictly a male thing. And obviously, the business, I mean, we do away with the business and there's no point in having the firm. We don't gain anything. But the reality is, not all women think like traditional women, and not all men think like traditional men. So it's about the roles and how we stereotypically characterize them that gets us into troubles, because we lock people out of positions that they should naturally have. I've worked for some female bosses that were very task-driven. And my role with them was to make sure that the human needs of the people that work for us were taken care of. How do we fit that in? How do we make sure that we manage the process in such a way that they're able to do their job well over time? So there are women that are very good at that. There are men who are very good at it. What we need to do I think, with the diversity of this is to start to see that this is the human issue in managing sustainable businesses, and that we incorporate all of that, but we have advocates within the organizations that cover off the human and the task or economic side of the business.